us tonight at our City Council meeting. We appreciate you being here. We'll go ahead and get started. Connie, could you please call the roll?
Adamson. Here. Bray.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Johnston.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Moore. Plat.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Okay.
Thank you. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, after which, if you would remain standing for the invocation, which will be offered by representatives from the Portneuf Valley Interfaith Fellowship.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for allowing the Portneuf Valley Interfaith Fellowship to offer the prayer tonight on this National Day of Prayer. We've left rosters of our membership of different faiths. If you don't see your faith represented there, please contact your faith leader and encourage them to contact us. We'll now have an opening thought and prayer, one given by the Portneuf Sangha representative, Dr. Tony Cycle, our Buddhist representative, and the second by Pastor Richard Baugh, Blazing Grace of God. Thank you. And members will stand up front.
This passage is called the Metta Sutta, and it's a way of developing compassion. This is to be done by one skilled in aims who wants to break through to the state of peace. Be capable, upright, and straightforward, easy to instruct, gentle and not conceited, content and easy to support, with few duties, living lightly, with peaceful faculties, masterful, modest, and no greed for supporters. Do not do the slightest thing that the wise would later censure. Think, happy at rest, may all beings be happy at heart. Whatever beings there may be, weak or strong, without exceptions, long, large, middling, short, subtle, blatant, seen and unseen, near and far, born and seeking birth, may all beings be happy at heart. Let no one deceive another or despise anyone anywhere, or through anger or irritation wish for another to suffer. As a mother would risk her life to protect her child, her only child, even so should one cultivate a limitless heart with regard to all beings. With goodwill for the entire cosmos, cultivate a limitless heart, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without enmity or hate. Whether standing, walking, sitting, or lying down, as long as one is alert, one should be resolved on this mindfulness. This is called a sublime abiding here and now. Not taken with views, but virtuous and consummate in vision, having subdued desire for sensual pleasures, one never again will lie in the womb.
Let's pray. Father, we come before you this evening and ask for your guidance and wisdom for this assembly as we conduct our business this evening. Please give a special blessing to the council. Let them have eyes to see and ears to hear. Lord, please bless the citizens that are in attendance tonight. Let them be able to speak their thoughts clearly and get the information out that they wish to get out, Lord. We thank thee for giving us all the gifts that you've given us, Lord. The ability to come to you in any situation, opening that door to us, Lord. Lord, we say these things humbly. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 3 is the consent agenda. The following business items may be approved by one motion and a vote. If any one member of the council so desires, any matter listed can be moved to a separate agenda item. A, minutes. Council may wish to waive the oral reading of the minutes and approve the minutes from the clarification and regular council meetings of March 2 and March 16, 2017. B, payroll and material claims. Council may wish to consider payroll and material claims for the month of April 2017. Good evening, Joyce.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Joyce Strohschein, Chief Financial Officer for the city. Tonight I'm presenting the report for payroll and material claims for the month of April. Payroll and material claims totaled $5,387,817. Payroll-related claims were $3,544,022. We had an increase of 42 filled positions. We had changes in filled positions of an increase in 1 in the full-time status, an increase of 1 in the half-time status, an increase of 13 in the part-time status, and an increase of 27 in the seasonal status, which is normal for this time of the year, for the overall increase of 42 in filled positions. Vendor claims totaled $1,843,794. Vendor claims, I've highlighted 10,000 or more. The highlighted section of 30,000 or more includes Bannock County Solid Waste, $102,614. This is sanitation for the landfill fees. Conrad and Bischoff Incorporated, $30,350. Transit for fuel. HD Supply Waterworks Ltd., $263,646. This is the water department. It's a 2017 material bids. HDR Incorporated, $70,097. Water Pollution Control Plant, the engineering services for phosphorus design. Intermountain Claims, $54,758. Workers' Comp, its admin fees and claims for April. Pulsco Incorporated, $43,470. Water Department, Hydro Pneumatic Surge System Tank at Johnny Creek. RSCI, $54,730. The Water Pollution Control Plant Phosphorus Project Contractor Progress Payment Number 22. Idaho Power Company, $139,305. This is multiple funds for the electric utility. Intermountain Gas, $12,918. Multiple funds for the gas utility. And the Wells Fargo Purchase Card Program, $349,946. This is the April P-card cycle with 1,467 transactions reported. Remaining large vendor claims are presented for your review. This report explains 80.46% of all the vendor claims for the month. On the back of the report, we report on the April purchase card activity. We had 1,467 transactions for the month, totaling $349,946. We had 144 cardholders use their card. I have listed the 6 purchase agents who had monthly totals of greater than 10,000 with explanations of the type of purchases they made for the month. And this concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Joyce, Council? Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you.
Then we'll move on to C, Animal Shelter Advisory Board reappointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Jane Ginniger to continue her service as a member of the Animal Shelter Advisory Board. Ms. Ginniger's term will begin May 8, 2017 and will expire May 8, 2019. D, Planning and Zoning Commission appointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's appointment of John Moore to serve as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, replacing Kathleen Lewis, whose term expired. Mr. Moore's term will begin May 9, 2017 and will expire May 9, 2021. E, Pocatello Development Authority appointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's appointment of Evan Frazier to serve as a Bannock County representative on the Pocatello Development Authority, replacing Devin Hillman. Mr. Frazier's term will begin May 5, 2017 and will expire May 1, 2019. F, Council Decision, Dolbar Estate Subdivision. Council may wish to adopt this decision approving the final short plat for the Dolbar Subdivision, a replat of lots 1, 2, and 3 of Palmer Tract, which subdivides approximately 0.58 acres of land into 3 residential lots. Subject to 2 conditions. The property is located at Jason Avenue and Dolbar Street, zoned as residential medium-density single-family RMS, and will have a direct access from Jason Avenue and Dolbar Street.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Johnston and a second by Bray. Connie, could you please call the roll?
Johnston.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Adamson.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 4, communication and proclamations. We have 3 proclamations. They will be read by Councilmember Orr, Councilmember Adamson, and Councilmember Bray.
Whereas the office of municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And the municipal clerks serve as the information center on functions of local government and community, and municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meeting of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of municipal clerks who serve our community, therefore I see Brian C. Blad, Mayor of the City of Pocatello, do hereby proclaim the week of May 7th through May 13th as Municipal Clerks Week in Pocatello, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Ruth Whitworth, and to all municipal clerks for their vital services they perform and their dedication to communities they represent.
And Ruth asked me not to have her come down, so I won't do that.
Thank you.
You make everybody else say something.
Well, I'm waiting for her to say something.
All right, whereas Bannock Transportation Planning Organization, the transportation planning agency for the Portneuf Valley, and the Bike to Work Committee are planning activities to educate the community that bicycles are a beneficial mode of transportation and also encourage bicycle commuting, promote safety, and increase the general public's awareness and respect for bicycle riders. And whereas bicycling provides a healthy, enjoyable, and environmentally sound means of transportation and recreation that adults and children of all ages can enjoy. And whereas biking activities have evolved into a healthy mode of transportation for many traveling to work and school. And whereas Bike to Work has added the Chamber Wellness Program, which is a competitive workplace wellness initiative that organizes intercompany competitions surrounding physical activity. Over 1,000 people have participated in past challenges, and the program keeps growing. And whereas a bicyclist with 3 hours of riding time per week can reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke, reduce the use of motorized vehicles, which are responsible for 70% of the carbon monoxide, 45% of the nitrogen dioxide, and 34% of the hydrocarbons produced. And whereas cyclists riding to work have discovered it is sometimes faster to ride than drive with less wear and tear on their automobile, given that the average annual price of keeping an automobile running is over $3,000. And whereas the City of Pocatello has constructed bike paths and cooperated with the Portneuf Greenway to enhance the pathways for cyclists. Now therefore, Brian Blad, Mayor of the City of Pocatello, does hereby proclaim May 2017 to be Pocatello Bike to Work Month in Pocatello, and encourages employers to support their employees' participation in the Bike to Work Employee Challenge.
Who's going to get this one? Oh,
Hannah's going to get this for us.
I have another Bike to Work committee member here.
Well, come on up here. One of you or both can say something. Go ahead. I did the poster.
Just want to say thank you for your support of Bike to Work, not only for the community, but for all employees. A lot of city employees participate, and there's some great rides this summer, as well as a bike parade. So come down with your families, and it's open to everybody later this month, so stay tuned. Thanks.
Whereas drug courts and other treatment courts have served over 1.4 million individuals and are now recognized as the most successful criminal justice intervention in our nation's history. They save up to $27 for every $1 invested and up to $13,000 for every individual they serve. 75% of treatment court graduates will never see another pair of handcuffs. And whereas treatment courts significantly improve substance abuse treatment outcomes, substantially reduce substance abuse and crime, and do so at a less expensive than any other criminal justice strategy, treatment courts facilitate community-wide partnerships, bringing together public safety and public health professionals in the fight against substance abuse and criminality. And whereas there are now 2,966 drug courts and other treatment courts nationwide, and whereas drug courts and other treatment courts are the cornerstone of criminal justice reform sweeping the nation, treatment courts demonstrate that when one person rises out of substance use and crime, we all rise. And whereas the time has come to put a treatment court within reach of every eligible person in need. Now therefore, Brian C. Blad, Mayor of the City of Pocatello, does hereby proclaim that the month of May 2017 is to be Drug Court Month. Signed, Brian C. Blad, Mayor of Pocatello.
Mayor and City Council members, thank you very much for having us here tonight. I have with me a number of our drug court participants and court staff that are with me tonight. I do know that they are dedicated, both the staff and the participants. They spend a good portion of 2 years of their lives making definite changes to help make themselves better community members. I also need to thank Mayor Blad and you all on the City Council because of your help and partnership with drug courts in this community. We wouldn't be able to exist, to be honest with you, without local government, state government, and federal government support, but particularly with the City of Pocatello. Chief Marchand shares with us Captain Knapp and Captain Kelly and Major Peterson as liaisons to our drug courts, and they're essential to our staff to be able to help in our rehabilitation efforts with regard to our drug court participants. So thank you very much. We really do appreciate the commitment that you've made to our drug courts. And finally, I will let you know, thank you for setting off our proclamation for Drug Court Month. We have a celebration at the end of the month, May 30th, at from 5:30, I believe, until about 7 at the ISU Ballroom. And I want to extend a personal invitation to all of you to be a part of that if you'd like to come by. It's be a really happy and interesting celebration for us all. So thank you again for having us. I appreciate our drug court staff and participants all being here tonight. It's nice to have them understand and how important local government is in their recovery and rehabilitation in this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to excuse ourselves because I know you have a busy agenda.
That'll be fine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carl, I thought everybody was here to see us.
Great.
It's fantastic.
Wonderful.
It is.
This becomes a shorter meeting.
All righty, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move on to agenda item number 5 is a calendar review. Council may wish to take this opportunity to inform other council members of upcoming meetings and events that should be called to their attention. On May 11, at 9 a.m. will be a study session followed by a budget development meeting. May 18 will be a 6 p.m. regular city council meeting. Other events, May 6, Idaho State University graduation. Congratulations. May 6, Portneuf Valley Fun Run Series starts with the Law Day Run. Contact the Parks and Recreation for more information. May 6, Citywide Cleanup Day. May 8 through 11, National Water Week. 26th Annual Open House will be held at the Water Department, 1889 North Arthur Street. May 13, City Auction at Primetime Auctions. May 14, Mother's Day at the Zoo. They're at Zoo, Idaho. Mothers receive half off admission price when accompanied by a paid child. Reminders, the month of May is dog licenses are on sale for half price. Zoo, Idaho is now open 7 days a week. With that, we will move on to agenda item number 6, removal of appointment city engineer. Council may wish to remove the appointment of Deirdre Castillo as city engineer in accordance with Idaho Code 50-206. Effective date of removal will be May 4, 2017.
Mr. Mayor, as we have reviewed our city structures over the last couple of years, we started with our budget development meetings a few years ago. We are now starting to implement some of the ideas that we've been talking about. We started with the legal department and now with the city engineer. I move that we remove this position and then we'll go on to the next item.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Council President Brown and a second by Johnston. Connie, could you please call the roll?
Brown.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Adamson.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 7, appointment confirmation Public Works Director / City Engineer. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's appointment of Jeff Mansfield as Public Works Director / City Engineer effective May 5, 2017.
Mayor. Go ahead. Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Council President.
As we continue with our reorganization, I move that we appoint Jeff Mansfield as our new Public Works Director and City Engineer.
Second.
We have a motion by President Brown and a second by Orr. Connie, could you please call the roll?
Brown.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Adamson.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Thank you. Would you like to hear anything from Mr. Mansfield, or should we move on?
Depends on if he has anything to say.
What do you have? Do you have anything to say?
You got it. Read that.
The invitation is...
He put a suit coat on, and so he's ready for TV.
Are you for, against, or neutral?
Ask his wife.
Mayor and Council, Public Works Director, City Engineer Jeff Mansfield for City of Pocatello. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your confidence in me and for giving me this opportunity. I'm excited about the opportunities. I absolutely love working in Public Works, and I'm excited to be the Director of Public Works. A lot of people don't realize what Public Works do, but it impacts each and every one of us in this community. And we've got some great department heads, we've got some great employees who are very dedicated and hardworking and committed to making the community a better place to work, to live and work. Any questions for me?
No, let's not ask him questions right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to agenda item 8, child care license denial appeal Mercer. Brittany Mercer will be present to appeal the decision of police department staff which denied Ms. Mercer a child care license.
Good
Janae,
evening,
hello.
Mayor, members of City Council. Janae Perman, licensing with the Pocatello Police Department. After careful consideration, the Pocatello Police Department denied Brittany Mercer a child care license due to the fact on April 26th, during a traffic stop where Brittany was a passenger of the vehicle, she admitted to possessing drug paraphernalia, and she was subsequently charged with possession of drug paraphernalia, a violation of Uniform Controlled Substance Act, Idaho Code 37, Chapter 27.
Questions?
April 26th, what year? This year?
2016.
Okay. No other questions.
Any other questions for Janae while she's here? Okay. Thank you, Janae.
Okay.
Brittany is... There you go.
So I have some letters.
Okay, if you want to, I'll pass those out if you'd like, and then if you'll just go right back there and go ahead and state your name, and then you can let us know.
Okay, so I'm Brittany Mercer. I feel that I should get my child care license back because I've always had an interest in child care ever since I was younger. I got my first job in child care on April 5th, 2015, and have been doing it ever since. It's always been a passion of mine. I've always considered myself a good person, with a great work ethic. I'm a hard worker and very reliable. I've never put safety of the children at risk. Getting in trouble has taught me a very valuable lesson. I feel that it was a poor judgment call, and I have bettered myself since then.
I got a couple of questions, Mayor, if I might.
Okay.
So, through this encounter, are you on probation now?
No, I had never got put on probation. It was my first time getting in trouble, so they told me that they didn't really feel the need.
And so does your employer still wish to employ you, knowing what you did?
Yeah, I believe so.
And are you related to your employer?
No.
Is your employer here?
Yes. Carrie.
Okay. Would you be willing to random drug testing required by your employer?
Yeah, I can.
Would your employer agree to that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I don't know if I sent 2 letters that way. Council President Brown?
You said that you've done some things to improve yourself. What kind of things have you done?
Well, I haven't been using drugs since. Been keeping myself very busy with work, and just been doing a lot to keep myself busy all the time, so keep myself out of trouble type thing.
So if we overrule the police department and we grant this exception, what assurances do we have that you're not going to have any problems?
Well, I definitely don't hang out with the same crowd I used to. And, yeah.
Well, regardless of how this goes, thank you for having the courage to stand up and do this. I know it's not easy.
Mayor,
Councilman Orr?
how old are you?
22.
You don't look it.
I get told
I guess
that a
that's a
lot.
safe thing when you ask a woman her age. I mean, did you graduate from high school?
Yeah.
First 2 back.
2013.
What did you have to do as far as education, besides maybe CPR or something, to get your date to get ready to be a child care provider?
Well, I first started out babysitting. So, since I was 13, I have been taking care of children. So I learned a lot from that. And then, getting into childcare, I have to do the Idaho Stars trainings and stuff, so that's taught me a lot, too.
Mm-hmm. How many hours did that take?
12.
12 hours?
Yeah.
A year. Have you done anything else in your working life in your old age?
No, childcare is the only thing I've ever done. Well, when I did job training over at the DI for a little bit, for 6 months, and then I got my first childcare job over at Foxentown Daycare after that.
What are you really passionate about? I see before me a young person, and I mean, if you could do anything in your life for the rest of your life,
What?
I have actually always wanted to own a daycare. So I've always been passionate about kids my whole entire life. It's just something I guess I grew up doing, and so I don't know. I just gotten a real love for it. And so when I was in 5th grade is when I decided that I wanted to own a daycare, and yeah, ever since then I just been doing it a lot.
I'd love to ask you a million other questions, but we're short of time. So.
Can I make a motion, Mayor?
Okay, absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, I'd move to approve the daycare license with the stipulation that she be required to be available for random drug testing for 18 months, and that'll be somehow handled through the PD, however we would handle that, and that the cost would be borne between her and her employer.
How about starting her off with a drug test before she...
Well, if I was doing random drug tests, that's how I'd handle it, but I don't do those.
Okay.
That'd be fine.
I would second that, but I'd like a testimonial from Carrie.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Provisional, it sounded like. And I'm a little confused because you're asked if we could start with a drug test. Is that part of the motion, or is that just a recommendation of what you would do?
So I want random drug testing for 18 months, run through probation and parole, or whoever can handle that does that.
Okay.
It can't be that complicated to have someone that does that.
There's places that do it.
So that's all I'm saying, 18 months.
Okay.
At the cost of the employer, but not the city.
Right.
Or whomever.
Cost of the employer and an employee. Okay, perfect. Carrie, we would like to hear from you, apparently. Councilmember Johnston?
Yes, sir.
What's burning on your mind that you want a question for?
Well, I just would like a testimonial of this young lady and to make sure that we can have confidence in voting for this motion.
I'm Carrie Giesbrecht, owner of Carrie's Corner Childcare. And Brittany, she's worked for me for a year, and she came to me from the Learning Circle. And her employer actually recommended her to me. They were closing down, and she's like, Brittany's amazing. I love what you do, so I'd like to give you my best employees. And so Brittany came to me from her, and she really is. She's really great with the kids. She gets in there, she gets down and plays. She does crafts with them. You can actually see you don't really actually get a whole lot of Brittany's. I see a lot of myself in Brittany. Like, that's what my passion was ever since I got pregnant when I was 16 and had my baby when I was 17. And so that's when I knew that's what I wanted to do, because I love babies. And so Brittany's a really great girl. And I think everybody makes mistakes, and I do think she's learned from it.
Are we doing the right thing for children?
By all means, I think Brittany's amazing. She's a great girl. I would vouch for her any day. She's my babysitter. I trust her with my own babies. And so.
Do you think this drug testing situation is an acceptable way to go?
Yes, I do. I think that I have faith that she could pass them and everything. I'm not exactly sure what the cost is, but we'll figure that one out.
I'm prepared to vote.
Okay.
Could we bring the police department back up?
We sure can.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thanks, Carrie.
You're welcome.
Do you have an idea of what random drug testing costs?
I don't. Not off the top of my head now. We're going to have to look around.
I don't think it's horrible. It's been a while since I've had to do this. It's real bad.
It's been a while since you've been in trouble? Okay.
Roger, I think it's bad.
Captain Shy might have an idea if we're really interested in knowing what it costs right now.
Last time I heard, it was somewhere between $70 and $130, depending on what you wanted, how in depth. The last time I saw it was $150 for the initial panel, and then another $150 for if it tests positive and they speciate.
Yeah, I'm Captain Roger Shine, I'm the detective captain of Pocatello Police Department. My first question would be for legal, as far as any constitutional rights being compromised by requesting somebody who's not on probation or parole to do a mandatory drug test would be my first concern.
And well, I would say that basically, since it's the city grants a license, the city can put a condition on it. The other, and I don't know what your next question is, but one thing I would ask the council to consider is who is going to make the determination of when random is. Will it be the police department? Will it be the licensing? I mean, so I just throw this for consideration because if you're looking at what are the question is what are the mechanics you want done? Who's going to make the determination when random is? Maybe that was the question.
It was going to be then because that's not something we normally do. We don't issue those tests. We would farm those out to physicians immediate care or up at the hospital or a place like that would proctor those tests. And then who would go with her when she does that, because that's not also a service that we provide or have the manpower to do based off that when they go. So those would be questions that I have, because that's not something we normally do. Those usually done by probation or parole or through the county or the state.
I know there's testing labs in town that do it for businesses. They do random drug tests for businesses. So I'm assuming there's got to be a way we can pull this off. I mean, I actually used to do them for the railroad, and it's not as complicated as one might seem, so I think we can make it work.
Well, and I agree with, I've got to agree with Gary there, or Councilman Moore. It's definitely a doable thing. The question is, what is random? And I would think...
Yeah, is that 4 times a year?
I would think every few months would be random to me.
3 or 4 times in 18 months, I think is pretty random.
3 or 4 times in 18 months, and then the cost of it, was...
Do you have an idea what the cost is?
It depends on where you go. So it's going to be dependent on, because when we do blood draws, there's different charges from different companies. So.
Well, I would think that the employer would be interested in making sure they're with them when that happens, and that I'm just with Councilman Moore. I think it's easier than what we're making it out to be.
If you want a clean drug test, it gets a little more involved. I mean, a proper drug test gets a little more, because you have to have a witness custody person. There's a chain of custody. And somebody has to decide when it's going to be done. Who randomly is going to do it? Is it going to be our code officer,
licensing officer? Yeah, and that's something that we don't require. She's never done that stuff before. We've required any of our licensing people to do. So if you guys wanted to set a company and parameters on that, then if something does come back, then
How about if we just say that we will get with the employer and we'll figure it out? How's that?
Sure.
So we have a question, Captain, while you're up there. Councilwoman Adamson has a question.
Well, I just had a concern about the time that this would take and add to staff at the police department. I know Janae already has a busy schedule, and so I have a concern about, constraints on her time having to review this every time, the random one comes up, then she's got to look at that. And I know she spends a lot of time reviewing these and gives them careful consideration. And so my heart goes out to you for being in a terrible situation, but I feel like we need to back up our police department and support them in their decisions that they put a lot of consideration into.
Okay. Any other questions down here?
I got one for Janae.
Okay.
Now you maybe forget it.
Sorry.
Would you remind me of what the young lady was charged with, or?
She was convicted of possession of paraphernalia.
It doesn't specify what type of?
It was a pipe.
A pipe, which marijuana?
Marijuana pipe.
Marijuana pipe.
We just hailed the drug court. It doesn't make any sense to me to take someone who's done something like this, who has an employer that she has a proven history with her, and the employer is willing to monitor it. It doesn't make any sense to kick her to the curb and not have a job. I mean, to me, it doesn't. So let's vote.
Well, Councilman Bray wants to ask a question, and then we'll do it.
Well, I just want to make a statement. You know, I think the fact that the drug court people were in here and the judge is kind of, if we prove this, it's a warning to you as to how much a lot of people have to go through to be able to get employed or even get back on the street. You know, these people, we heard testimony that it's at least 2 years, most of their lives, very intense. And you kind of went past go if this is approved, so to speak, you know, and I think that's something we need to appreciate. I also think it's important to appreciate the fact that you'd say you never compromise your children, but at the same time, it was while employed that you got caught with this stuff. So that's a little contradictory there. If you're using and you're still taking care of kids, that's a contradiction. So I'm with Gary. I'm really for giving people a second chance. But you need to understand, if we give you the chance, you better not blow it because there are other little individuals at risk. And that's an important thing to know. And the other part of this is that I think it's important I don't think the drug testing is that hard. I've been around it quite a bit with different people. There are 15, 20 bucks. You can go in. They do the chain of command at those facilities. And I think we may need to clarify to what extent we're going to do the drug testing. Because we can go from blood draws, which are very expensive, to a UA, which I think would probably be the acceptable thing here. So I would kind of say, can we include in your motion that it be a UA instead?
We can.
Okay, and I'd like to have Roger Schei speak to it for the time.
And that was going to be something I brought up, is that if the council could maybe give us some guidance on what type of testing and then what type of reporting for Janae, so that she's not overwhelmed with having to go with her to there, and maybe that just the paperwork gets turned into her when she gets the results, so that way we're not overloaded.
And Cap, I'm thinking that there are labs in Pocatello. We'll have her get hooked up with. There's a bunch of them. Sure. And it will be, they'll give her a phone call and tell her she needs to report to their lab. They'll do the UA. They'll test that, and they will send the results to her. I'm pretty sure that's how that's going to work.
Yeah, and just so long that the council gives us some guidance as far as the type of testing and how often, whether it's every 4 months, and then where the results have to come in, if they just have to turn in the results to our licensing person, and then that way she could put the results of that test in a folder so that it's not too complicated and we're not really getting too far into the weeds on it.
Okay.
I have one more question for Ms. Mercer, if she would come up there. Because, again, I'm going to ask you to be truthful, because you have a motion before, there's a motion here on the table, okay? And we will vote on it here shortly. And so that random drug testing may possibly include tomorrow, okay? If you were trying to go a drug test tomorrow, would you pass?
Yes.
Okay. You are a sweet-looking young woman.
Thank you.
I don't know your background. I don't know what it is, but Councilman Bray is so directly to the point addressed the concerns and the issues and the chance that you have. Okay, but again, you're dealing with children, so that's all. Thank you.
So in my motion, I would include that there'll be a random drug test 4 times within over the 18-month period, and that will be done by an independent lab, and the results will go to the licensing person at the PD and her employer.
Okay.
That ought to cover it.
It's a UA?
Yeah,
UA.
Yeah.
And you're still good with the second? Okay. So we have a motion by Moore and a second by Johnston. Connie, could you please call the roll?
Moore.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Adamson.
No.
Gray.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ford.
No.
Okay, thank you. Looks like a 4-2 vote, so it passes. And so would you please get with Janae and get that stuff taken care of so you know what your next steps are. Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 9, Portneuf Greenway Foundation Riverfest Event 2017. Council may wish to consider approving the following requests for Portneuf Greenway Foundation, represented by Dan Harrelson, in regards to the annual Riverfest event to be held on August 19, 2017 in Lower Ross Park. A, the foundation seeks permission to allow a live band to perform until 10 p.m. and then allow staff to remain in the park until 11 p.m. for cleanup. City Ordinance 12.36.20 states that city parks close 1 hour after sunset. And B, the foundation seeks an exception to City Ordinance 5.06.010 to allow vendor sales of food and beverage in Ross Park for the annual Riverfest event. If the exception is granted, the event sponsors will be required to submit the required application, provided proof of liability insurance, and pay the applicable vendor permit fees. And C, foundation seeks continued approval for the annual events and associated exceptions to City Ordinance 12.36.20 and 5.06.010 in future years, subject to the Parks and Recreation Director's review and barring any significant changes to the events.
Do we have anyone here from the Greenway?
Does beverages include alcoholic, or is it?
I don't think we have to permit pop.
It has been in the past.
It has been in the past, yes.
I move we approve the request.
Second.
We have a motion by Johnston and a second by Moore. Connie, could you please call the roll?
Johnston?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Adamson?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 10, police purchase of lockers and surplus declaration, donation to Oneida County. Council may wish to approve the following request regarding police equipment, subject to legal department review. A, authorize the purchase of 11 updated evidence lockers from FASCO in the amount of $26,451, and if approved, B, declare use of police department evidence lockers as surplus equipment and donate the lockers to Oneida County Sheriffs as in condition, and authorize the mayor to sign documents necessary to officiate the donation. Funds are available through the Capital Acquisition Fund for Police Department.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve both items A and B.
Second.
We have a motion by Moore and a second by Johnston. Connie, can you please call the roll?
Moore?
Yes.
Johnston?
Yes.
Adamson?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes, and Councilman Moore is out of motions.
He's just faster than you are.
Trying to keep this thing moving.
He's trying to move. Agenda item 11, resolution CDBG program policies and procedures revised edition. Council may wish to adopt a resolution subject to legal department review regarding proposed changes to the city's requirements for community development block grant CDBG funded programs. The proposed changes will improve bidding and procurement process, which may also reduce administrative costs. Offer a new program to low and moderate income homeowners and amend the existing Section 3 policy.
Mayor?
Councilman Bray.
Mr. Chance.
I move that we approve the resolution for CDBG program policies and procedures in the revised edition.
Second.
Subject to legal.
Yes, you had a second here.
Yeah, I got it.
Quiet.
We have a motion by Bray and a second by Adamson. Connie, could you please call the roll?
Gray?
Yes.
Adamson?
Yes.
This is a red.
Brown?
Yes.
Johnston?
Subject to. Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Yeah, we're okay. Okay, thank you. Agenda item 12, short plat Spoklie subdivision. Jim Spoklie, represented by Rocky Mountain Engineering and Surveying, has submitted an application to subdivide approximately 0.54 acres into 2 residential lots located on South Grant Avenue and Hawkweed Drive. Staff recommends approval with conditions outlined in the staff report.
Mr. Mayor, clarification, it is .54 acres with 2 lot division? Two residential lots?
0.54 acres.
Okay. I would make the motion to approve the short plat.
We have a motion by Orr and a second by Johnston, and we have a question.
Are you including staff recommendations with that motion?
Well, of course.
Okay.
I think he got the second before he could finish his motion.
I just wanted to clarify. So it includes the staff
All the staff recommendations.
and conditions.
Yes. So a motion by Orr and a second by Johnston. Connie, could you please call the roll?
Orr,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 13 is public hearing, reconsideration of hearing examiner's decision for electronic billboard at 978 Highline Road. This time has been set aside for council to hear comments from the public concerning a reconsideration request of the hearing examiner's decision approving an electronic billboard facing southeast at 978 Highline Road. The decision is being appealed by Joshua Moon, representing several homeowners. The applicant for the electronic billboard is Sanju Chadberry of Jeeves Ads, represented by Blaze Signs Company. I declare the public hearing open. We would look for Mr. Moon.
Well,
It's my turn. I'm excited. A little nervous.
Heck, we're all nervous up here too, so.
Are you? I highly doubt it.
If you would just give us your name and...
So am I the only one that's going to be talking for the residents?
Right now, you're going to be talking, and then after you finish, we'll have the staff say a few words, we'll get any correspondence, and then we'll have testimony from people that are supporting or uncommitted or opposed to the application.
Okay, so some of my neighbors will have a chance to
If they would like to, we'll give them 3 minutes. We're going to give you 10.
10. You're going to give me 10?
If
you don't need it, you don't have to take it.
We don't hold that against you.
I know you guys like being up there a lot.
Here's the format. It's on the back of their agenda. So
Okay.
if you have one. Okay.
I didn't. I showed up pretty late, sorry. All right, I live up on the hill of 1528 El Rancho Road, up behind Sizzler. And so I was out of the 200 feet, which I think is a little silly, but I was come to the conclusion that they were putting up the sign, and I object to that because down there by Great Clips, there's that just a little LED light or sign. It just goes through with words. And as I'm laying in my home in the downstairs, the windows, the blinds are open, I can see that blinking in. So to have a billboard size, I can only imagine. That's right in my backyard. Yes, I could probably close my blinds, but how's that going to fix it if I'm outside enjoying the night or trying to enjoy the stars or any of that stuff? And I like to sleep with my windows open anyway, so. But another concern that I have with it, and as a big one, is the market value. I feel that this is going to drop our market value up there on the hill. One thing that I enjoyed was the view as I bought the house 2 years ago, and I don't think that this is going to make Pocatello any prettier or any more desirable to be here. And we spent so much time on the exit making it, beautifying it, and I think this sign will contradict it. Sorry about being nervous. Also, how do we know what ads will be going up, what ads will be shown? There can be concern there. Distractions to drivers. It's kind of a busy little section trying to get over, get to the left, get to the right, merge. I know that many of our neighbors can see all of the other digital boards that are along Yellowstone. I know that we're on the hill, so that just we have to deal with that. But We don't need one right in our backyard. So those are my main concerns. The lighting in the backyard, if I'm outside, I don't need to have that light out in my backyard. Yep. So any questions?
I have one for
Questions?
Well, it's my understanding from staff is that this area that this sign would be going into is zoned correctly for that type of media presentation. It meets all of our sign ordinances. Believe it or not, we got sign ordinances.
I'll take your word for it.
Well, yeah, I've had a little exposure to that. So I guess the concern we always have is that we try to write ordinances that help and make sure that we're doing the right thing for the right area so that it promotes growth and business, but also protects the landowners. Without doing an analogy of in your own neighborhood on the street, how do we justify this to a business that has met all the criteria and all the conditions for the sign and then tell them no? That's how do you do that?
That's a good question.
And you don't have to necessarily answer that because I know you're nervous, but see, that's the dilemma that we have to deal with and such. And so, thank you for coming and thank you for using your right to do this.
As I found out as well, I went through some of the other streets. I know that they moved the sign. Originally, it was going to be towards Sizzler, and they shifted a little bit, so it was now towards the fire station. But now that's just going to light up the people's yards, even behind the firehouse. I've went over there and I talked to many of the people over there, and they said it's already bright enough. I just don't understand why we need to lighten everybody's backyards up.
Yeah, I remember as a young boy, an auto dealer in town used to bring in a big light that they used to use for sighting aircraft at night. Of course, being young, we thought it was neat. So, okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Any other questions? Not this time. Okay, so just to let you know, if I were you, I'd take some notes because anybody that's opposed, you'll have an opportunity to answer some of those questions if you'd like to.
At the end.
At the end of it.
You want a pen? Here you go.
I got an extra pen.
You need some paper?
Thanks.
Okay. Oh, you got all the back of all that.
I'll return it to you.
That's okay, it belongs to the city. Paid for it already.
Okay, thank you. Then we would look for the staff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Terry New. It's been a long day. I'm the assistant planner for the city, and I do want to make sure that everybody understands the issue at hand. The original application was for a two-sided electronic billboard. That was denied by the hearing examiner, but the hearing examiner did approve one side electronic and one side static, and now the neighborhood up above is appealing that. So it's not the sign contractor that's appealing, it's actually the neighborhood. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that because it's confusing. And I would also like to kind of go through the process that staff goes through when we get to applications like this. The first thing we do is send a notice to property owners and tenants within a 200-foot radius of the subject property line. If staff receives a letter in opposition to the proposal, a public hearing is scheduled, and a second round of notices is then sent out to property owners and tenants within 200-foot radius of the property line. In the case of this application, it was determined that tenants within the 200-foot radius were not notified of the public hearing, and so therefore more notices were sent out. to make sure that we were noticing everybody that we're required to by law. And then the hearing was held before the hearing examiner. At that time, testimony was received from the neighbors, and then staff had also received emails from Mike Neville from Traffic Engineering and Corey Krantz from Idaho Transportation Department, who both recommended that the hearing examiner deny the request, especially the one that's south-facing, that would be facing right directly to the traffic signal. That intersection is a bad intersection. There's a lot of accidents right there, and having the digital billboard right there behind a traffic signal, they were concerned would cause too much distraction for drivers. They see a flash of light and they're going to go, even though it's the wrong flash of light. So it's just kind of a reactionary thing that we do. And so during the public hearing, those emails and any letters that were submitted by the neighbors were given to the hearing examiner and then also to the applicant. Like I said, the hearing examiner denied the original request with a change, and then Joshua Moon did appeal, representing those neighbors up above. We have received one letter in opposition kind of in opposition, in opposition to the entire package. No billboard whatsoever being there by Bruce Padian. And so it's kind of convoluted, and I hope I've kind of helped make it a little more understandable. So,
in their concerns from the transportation folks, ours in the state, did they state in their opposition that they'd be okay with electronic sign on one side, or did they state that they were opposed to the electronic sign?
They did not say, because I didn't contact them after the hearing. Because at the time I believed that their biggest concern was the one that was south-facing, right directly to that traffic signal.
Okay, and are the citizens that are opposed to this sign, are they aware of those changes, that it's static on the side that's facing El Rancho? And
I believe so. We did send, because they weren't on the original mailing list, they didn't get copies of the hearing examiner decision. However, it was available to them to come pick up, and the hearing examiner pretty much said that night of the hearing what his decision was going to be. So I believe they understood that, at least they were told that, so.
Questions?
But there's no question that this is within the established code that we have.
Yes, it is.
And now and the hearing examiner did modify the original request.
Yes, he did.
And to the best of your understanding, the business or individual that would like to place a sign is acceptable to the hearing examiners?
At that time he was, yes. He stated he was.
Okay, well, we can find out later if he still is, so thank you, Terry.
Any other questions for Terry? Okay, thank you, Terry. Then we will move on. You mentioned the one piece of letter of correspondence, so we'll move on to any of those in testimony supporting the application. And I'm just going to say we move through these quickly, so if you're in support of the application, you need to jump up.
So that's support of the denial? That's the support of the appeal.
The support of the appeal.
So that's for the people that...
People that don't want it. People that don't want the sign, I guess, is what I should say.
You're against it.
And I would like to remind you very quickly, there's a clipboard there. We'll need you to sign in, state your name, and then it looks like we're getting a line of people behind you, so if you would write it down and then just hand the clipboard to the next person that's going to speak, and they can be ready to go. That way we're not going to waste a lot of time on that. And there will be 3 minutes per person here, so. Thank you.
Possibly have a pen that works.
Does that not work? Here.
Not real well.
I would throw it, but I know that would end up on the paper. I know where that would go, so.
Just keep it right there.
No, we're handing it back so you can fill it out before you get up there.
Put in the part if you're going to be repetitious, you may.
You know what, yeah, if you're going to say the same thing over and over and over again, we probably don't want to hear the same thing over and over again. Just raise your hand, let us know that it's going to happen.
Repetitiveness is good.
Yeah, it gives you false sense.
Not for this, though. Thank you.
A brief statement from Betty Adams, 2244 Jackson Lane, who cannot be here.
If you would state your name.
I'm Stephanie Gill, 6742 Pocatello Creek Road, Pocatello. I want to read this brief statement from Betty Adams, who cannot be here tonight, and I want to make a brief statement myself. Betty says, as a person who drives through the intersection of Jefferson and Highland and Alameda almost several times a day, on most weekdays, I wish to lodge my protest to the electronic sign that is proposed for the intersection. I'm sure that if the accident safety audit was repeated at this time, it would show an increase in accidents. I live at Pocatello Creek Road. I go through that stop sign. I've gone through that intersection thousands and thousands of times. I've lived there 24 years, taking kids to games and practices and going to work and school and church. It's a dangerous intersection. The lanes do not line up with the lights. It's especially dangerous for cyclists and pedestrians. It's really dangerous for children. There's an elementary school within just a few hundred yards of this. There are school activities after school and on weekends. I've seen kids waiting on the corner, watching the light, just braced to run across it, scared. It is dangerous. Why put up an additional distraction? The whole billboard would be an additional distraction because those lights are hard to see. It's hard to figure out which light goes to which lane. Why risk our children?
My name is Jeff Salta. I live at 1705 Jane Street. And I'd like to answer the question why. I would hope that it'd be a gray zone that we could analyze and make a judgment call to some degree. I appreciate that their rules are established and that they pass those on the black and white. In the gray, I'm a cyclist, a pedestrian, as much as I am a driver, and I find that intersection very hazardous with all three. I'm very concerned with the distraction the sign would cause. To me, it's a big eyesore and a detriment to the value of the area. And I sympathize with the neighbors that would have to deal with the excess light from that. For me, at night, many of these signs that are illuminated are not dimmed, and in and of themselves in any location, especially with the winters that we have with snow, are increasingly hazardous in the winter. So, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Bruce Padian. I live at 909 Holman on the hill above Ridley's and the Highline Alameda intersection. And the proposed location for this billboard is zoned commercial. But the statement of purpose for the city's municipal code 15.20.10 reads in part that signage is to promote the public health, safety, and general welfare, protect property values, preserve the scenic and natural beauty, and protect and enhance the physical appearance of the community. This 35-foot tall, 288 square foot two-sided billboard doesn't meet any of these statements. Code statement of purpose reads further that it is intended to reduce sign or advertising distractions that may contribute to traffic accidents. Proposed billboards within the location area of a 2015 road safety audit requested by the City of Pocatello, conducted by the Idaho Transportation Department for the Alameda Highline intersection. My family and I use this intersection multiple times during the week. The audit concluded that there were 57 vehicle accidents over the 5-year period 2010 to 2014, with inattention being a primary cause. Most of these accidents occurred on Highline Road and Jefferson Avenue within the road safety audit area. In fact, the day after the hearing examiner's March 23, 2017 public meeting on the original billboard proposal, there was yet another accident within this area on Highline Road. Both the electronic east-facing and the static south-facing portions of this billboard will be an added major distraction to all traffic near this busy intersection. The Idaho Transportation Department also has safety concerns with this proposal as modified and is not in favor of it. I urge the City Council to deny the permit. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Marilee Padian, 909 Holman Avenue. I live up on the hill. And as Bruce stated, the Department of Transportation does not want that sign there. And can I give you all this? It is a depiction of where this sign will be.
Thank you.
And this is when I was coming down Jefferson.
Go ahead. That's it. Okay.
And I also, you say it's within the rules, but not really, because your rules also state the beautification and property value.
Dan Marley, 1025 Levine. I've talked to Steve Gallifan, I'm sure most of you have too. Kelly Fisher also. They have both said that this will devalue my property. 1025 Levine is in that picture, directly above Ridley's and that area. We are 375 feet, according to Google, away from this. And to get I forgot the word. To get rid of an easement, you have to notify people within 300 feet. I cannot believe that a 200 foot in a whether it's commercial or not is enough. I propose that it should be changed to 800 feet, and that you should, as a committee, propose that to the committee that addresses that. I can lay in my bed at 1025 Levine and see the light change out here on Walnut, I believe it is, and it changes all night long. And yes, they're supposed to lower the brightness of it, but there's already plenty of light in that intersection. And I propose that we vote no on this. And I'm sorry. I know that they moved it so that it was within the school zone's requirement of 300 feet. They moved it a few feet so that it met that requirement. And the requirement of 200 feet, where a residential per place is way, way under what it should be. I propose, and I'm convinced that my property is going to sell for less on that cul-de-sac right at the top of the hill there. Nobody wants to sit and look at Scout Mountain with a 12 by 24 billboard that flashes on and off all night long. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Marley?
Yes?
You said you wanted them to vote no, but you were speaking in support of the appeal.
The no vote.
You mean
Or you want- yeah.
in favor of the appeal? Is what
I'm
you
in
mean.
favor of the appeal.
Okay, just wanted to
Any other
clarify.
questions? Any other comments?
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm Byron Miles. My address is 1230 Fern Street. We are on the south hill, looking down on the mall there, and as well looking at that intersection. We already have a very bright sign up on I-15, which we cannot avoid as we step out on our deck and look out that extremely bright sign. And we're, way past 800 feet. We're way past. It's just such a bright sign. It's like looking at the sunlight practically. I'm opposed to the sign. I'm in favor of the appeal. If this is within the city ordinances, for a sign, then I urge that be reconsidered, the ordinance be reconsidered. These type of bright signs are a huge distraction in particularly residential areas, and to drivers, to residents as they're trying to enjoy their yard and their deck and that type of thing. So I urge you to deny this sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, guys. I'm Patty Sherburne. I live at 948 Patsy, which is ground level. My backyard looks directly at Ridley's. I wasn't even aware of this sign, so my house must be 2.5 feet away from the sign. The only way that I knew about it is Mr. Moon came to our house and told us about it. There is another sign that has chains, and then underneath that is the LED light. When we're sitting in our backyard, and we are the first house going up Pocatello Creek from Alameda. So, you know, we have a big corner there where we can see everything. We can see lights, we can see cars. We didn't even know that this other LED light was going to come in. So when we're sitting in our backyard, we like to enjoy the campfire. I don't know who doesn't. We're sitting in our backyard, we have a little fire back there, and if we have friends, everybody goes like this. Because that light is so bright. It's very intrusive. I'm in favor of the appeal because it is intrusive. And if it was bigger, I don't need daytime. If I wanted daytime at nighttime, I'd move to Alaska. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I'm her husband. I forgot my name though. I'm Chris Sherburne. I live at 948 Patsy. I probably sleep the closest to where this sign's going to go of anybody that lives in this area. And I'm not the best at sleeping already. And I'm just pretty well convinced that the amount of ambient light that's going to come from this huge sign, whether it's directed at my house or at the hillside or wherever, is going to really throw off even more of my sleep. And maybe I'm being selfish. I do really feel for the people who live up on that hill, though. And like my wife said, it's somewhat disturbing already. We already park our camper to block some of the light from the lights in the parking lot. We knew they were there when we moved in. Not complaining really necessarily about those. We've learned to live with them. I don't know if we could learn to live with this big of a sign. And I do have a concern about my property value, and I'm in favor of the appeal. Thank you.
All right, so my name is Amanda Moon. I live at 171 Davis Drive, which is not anywhere close to the sign. I am in favor of the appeal for it. I drive down Highline multiple times throughout the day, in the evening, in the night. I purposely choose to go down Highline versus Yellowstone, so I at nighttime, not during the day. It's a more convenient route for me to go down Highline. So in the daytime, I take Yellowstone, but in the evening, I purposefully will choose to go down Highline just because of the bright LED lights. I have really good vision, good healthy eyes, but those bright lights are just, they're really hard on the eyes. And at nighttime, you can really feel that. I think that there's studies that show those bright LED lights have adverse effects on people. So I don't live in the neighborhood, but as a person that drives down that road a lot, I would like to see for that sign to not be approved. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any others in support of the application? So I don't know what happened to my clipboard. Who took that?
I have.
Bring that back up here, please.
I don't think he signed it. I didn't know.
Thank you. David Hutchinson, 1147 Holman. And I just think we need to ask ourselves, what is our vision for our valley? I don't know what other communities, the kind of communities that I like, I don't think would even allow this type of sign in their community to begin with. I think maybe we ought to consider a moratorium until we can look at the ordinances and decide what kind of community that we want to live in. Do we want one that's lit up like Las Vegas, Or we want something that looks more like Sun Valley or Jackson Hole or Park City maybe. I don't know what kind of lights they have in those communities, but those would be the kind of communities that I would be looking for. Not one that's lit up, that you're looking across the valley at the sun setting and the shadows casting across the hills, and you have this sign that's just begging for attention. Totally. You cannot enjoy the evening. You can't enjoy nothing because somebody wants to benefit from your misery of watching this billboard flash in your face. I really think it should consider looking at a moratorium and really look at what kind of community that we want to live in. If this is what we want, then personally, I'd probably like to go find a different community. And I've lived here my whole life. I used to be able to see the Milky Way. And I understand you got to have growth. You got to have some growth. And a lot of the parking lot lights, when they're designed, what they do is they shine down. And then we're going to put this big billboard out there that's huge, and it just sits there and begs for attention. And I mean, I don't even know who monitors them. Do they actually monitor them? They say they turn them down, but do they do a report? Is there like the sign police that goes out there and checks out how the looms are on these signs? Because I mean, at 200 feet, that just blows me away because I see billboards that are miles away. I can see these billboards that are miles away flashing. So anyway, that's all I have to say.
Dave, did you sign your name down there? Okay, any others in support of the application? Okay, any uncommitted to the application?
Here it comes.
Idaho Lorax, General Delivery, Pocatello. I want to commend those who've made an effort to go and reach the people in the community, because that's important, that the information is actually disseminating, get to people, not like elections or some other things that have difficulty getting to people, information, school board elections, yeah. Anyways, and I also, if this was a ballot initiative, we would be voting on it. And it's nice when it's not a ballot initiative, it's a hearing, that people do come out. When people come out to hear, I'm impressed. No matter what it is, it's an act of participation in our government when the people stand up. And if anything, that's when you should most listen to them. Not just when they vote, but when they come out, take the effort to come down here and give you their opinions or concerns and share them, because they live here too. And the decisions we make or the ordinances we make are temporary. They're trying to appeal or resolve issues. Well, if they have grounds for a good issue, and it sounds like a lot of them feel very passionate, that I feel it's a responsibility of our government to listen and maybe modify, change, to adapt to people, active citizens participating in their government. So in that respect, I condemn their efforts of coming, make that effort. I wish a little bit they'd care more about children in the schools, but hey, they came. Hopefully they'll conquer.
Did you write your name down on there?
Yes, I did, Brian.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any others uncommitted to the application? Any opposed to the application? These would be those in favor of the sign, probably.
If you want to put the sign up.
Yeah, you can come up here and talk if you'd like to.
Mr. Mayor, council members, and the fellow citizens this evening. Thank you so much for coming in. My name is Sanju Chaudhary, 1491 Cottage Avenue.
And then I want you to remember to talk to us, not them.
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, everybody. And I'm here with me is my attorney, Doug Markley, because it'll be easier for him to answer some of my official questions that you might possibly have that I might not have the insight of. So this sign permit, when I have applied for it, I had gone to the city council and asked whether that area was available for a digital signage. And the city said yes. This is the only area where we can put or plant a digital sign, and it is a commercial zone. So first of all, I am absolutely legal in that area. I have only applied for that signage because the city has approved that area. Then the city has their obligations that they have to send it out to 200 foot from the sign all to all the owners and tenants of that neighborhood, and they did. 3 weeks later, we had one objection, and that objection was from Steve Gallifant, who is a realtor, who has a tenant who lives in Tanny, which is about 269 feet away to the address. And his objection was, sometime or once in a while, my tenant might wake up at night and see a light. That was his objection to that. Based on that, we have gone to the hearing. On the day of hearing, sir, we were here and we had a couple other citizens who joined. Steve Gallifant couldn't make it, so he had sent attorney Kawai. I don't know his last name, Kuyo. The hearing gentleman, Mr. Kevin, has listened to us, and according to him, the Idaho Transportation Department did not deny the lights. It said very clearly in this paper which they have sent. They've asked that if we can dim the lights, they're okay with it. But Mr. Kevin is very concerned about the community, and so am I. I've lived here for 20 years, and I'm very concerned about my community, and I do not want any accidents to happen because of my actions. So the hearing, Mr. Kevin has offered a proposal saying, based on Idaho Transportation Department, I could deny this today, but would you be willing to accept a static on one side and electronic on the other? Very learned person, and I said, based on that you are saying that might have some cost.
Sanju, thank you very much. Your 3 minutes is up.
I don't know, I had 3 minutes, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you. I thought I had 10 minutes like Moon had.
No, you had 3 minutes.
I'm sorry, I was not clear about that. I thought it was because Mr. Mooney could start at 10 minutes, I could have had my side of 10 minutes. But I'm almost over.
But your time is up. If your attorney can finish for you, that would be fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. But
he would get 3 minutes.
I just wish that because of the inconvenience of understanding, I wish I could have gotten the... Mr. Anderson, would you please continue?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You were speaking in opposition. You're speaking in opposition, just like they had 3 minutes to speak in support, and a person
I thought I was a starter of my council. That's why I had 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Sorry for the misunderstanding.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, honored council members. My name is Doug Merkley. I'm a private attorney in Pocatello. I have been for over 30 years. I'm born and raised in the community. I served for several years on the Mayor's Historic Preservation Commission. I'm very much an advocate of historic preservation. I think it's fair to say that what we've heard here tonight by those in opposition of the sign or in support of the appeal have stated a lot of speculation. There's been some things said that I'm not sure factual within the record, but rather than debate that with the few minutes I have or the little time I have, Mr. Chowdhury was beginning to touch on something that I think is vitally important and I think has been largely overlooked. That is a commercially zoned property, and all the people that have spoken here have moved into that property. I watched that property get developed as a commercial property, the old Foothill subdivision there, as a young man. People that are occupying these premises now bought those properties knowing that the commercialization of that property below them and what we have there would be there. That lights were there and would continue to be there. The statute, as we've already made clear, the zoning ordinances with the City of Pocatello are complied with. We have ignored the fact, I think, up until now, that the hearing officer in this matter was very much attuned to the balancing of the statute. By the way, the statute was misquoted by the previous speaker. It's the last 3 digits on that statute are .010. The harmonization of and balancing of the needs and the importance of that statute, aesthetics, safety, as well as commercial enterprise and interest, is a very difficult thing to do, and we've ignored the fact that our hearing officer took all that into consideration. And my client's representative had the good sense to be a good listener. We listened. We accepted the recommendations. We toned it down. We agreed to a dimming. We agreed to have a static one side. We agreed to change the direction of even the lit side on the LED so that it would direct itself only toward Pocatello Creek Road, traveling in the westerly direction. We did everything they said, and we are in compliance with the statute. To ignore that hearing officer.
Thank you very much. 3 minutes, it doesn't seem like a lot of time unless you're up there speaking sometimes. So,
Senji,
thank you.
Could I see the email from the ITD individual? Is that appropriate?
Do we have any others opposed to the application?
Last night.
Looks like we've got a couple here. Sounds good.
Yes.
I think he's just collecting his stuff.
He's just collecting his stuff.
I don't know, Tony maybe.
So we'll go back here. Tony, why don't you sit down for a second? We're going to go back here. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Wade Johnson, I'm a representative of Blaysine, 525 West Maple. I'd ask this council to consider how hard we work to bring businesses into this community and to tie their hands and not let them put their names out there and show us who they are. Our visitors come, we want them to know what we have to offer as far as restaurants, businesses, entertainment, and as a business owner myself, providing these signs, it's my job to try to get that information out there. And I'll bet everybody here has a digital phone or a smartphone, and these accidents are probably more because of them smartphones than us putting a digital board up there so that in a glance you can see what Pocatello has to offer versus looking through the smartphones. The light, our street lights put out more pollution, light pollution, than these digital boards. But yet, it's a soft light, so it's easier on your eyes. It's a tough choice, but don't tie our businesses' hands by not letting them put their names out there and showing what Pocatello has to offer. We've worked hard to be Pocatello. Let's stand up and represent ourselves. It's a technical age. Let's step up to the technology. If Mother Nature can adapt to us moving into her territory, can't we adapt to a little electronics and move into the next phase of this world where we're going to be at? That's about all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Are you any others opposed? You're good? Okay, then, if I see no others opposed, then we would give you an opportunity to answer the questions that have been asked to rebut the...
Can I bring my speaker with me?
You're the speaker.
Well, I'm nervous, so I need my mouthpiece.
Yeah.
You don't want Marley.
I don't want these guys.
I wish I had
this big.
Now, I'll tell you though, you do have 3 minutes. to rebut here, so.
I got 3 minutes to rebut here. Go. All right. So I would first recommend to dismiss this area for a sign because the original location was moved only 20 feet just to accommodate the school zone. And I also believe it's a very small area for this sign. When we bought the houses, we couldn't anticipate there being digital signs being put up to when it was being developed in the commercial area. And the leaves can block out some of that light for a little bit, but that's only up until they fall off, and then you have nothing to block that light. And it is, and if you think that it has no effect on the housings that are up there, you're more than welcome to come up, hang out in the backyard, see those LED signs, even that little one. I mean, it's probably a quarter of the size that this big billboard's going to be. And I can tell you, I can see it in my backyard. And I don't think that the businesses, those parking lots need those lights. And I don't know what they're going to be advertising on them as well. That was one of my other issues. Are they just going to be, what kind of ads are they going to be? So I don't need things that aren't up to my standards for my children to be looking at those signs. So yes, we did buy those houses knowing that there were those stuff out there, but I had no idea that anything like this could happen. So I think it does have a big effect on our property values and where we live and in our community. And so, yeah.
Okay. Is that it?
If they showed full-length movies on that and turned it around, would you be okay with that?
Full-length videos? No.
Depends on the movie.
I can't pick the videos.
That's right.
And I guarantee we all don't like the same type of movies. So. I got 30 seconds to speak.
You got 30 more seconds if you have anything else to say.
Can I do a dance?
If you want.
My chances in it? No, that probably wouldn't.
You're on TV.
No, probably won't. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Do you want this list?
No, we'll grab it in a minute. We have another public hearing right after this one, so. Okay, I declare the public hearing closed.
We got.
No, not right now. Nope. I declare closed. Council, this item's before you. How do you wish to proceed? Councilman Bray.
Mayor, I move that we uphold the appeal and that we institute a moratorium on large signage placement like that, because I think we realize there's not a good balance between what our ordinance says and what we're getting as feedback from residential. There were some things that were brought up that I don't think we've even taken into effect. We don't know what reflection and refraction is doing with terms of light in the snow. I know that when we go out and shoot fireworks over water, it's a magnification of that light. So I move that we uphold the appeal and that we institute a moratorium on large signage placement until we can adequately study this and find a better balance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this one? A motion by Bray, a second by Brown.
So, well, yeah, I've got some discussion. I'd like to ask Terry to come back up. I'm just not sure about this moratorium stuff too. Okay, so the height of the sign, 35 feet, is that to the top of the sign, the bottom of the digital?
Top of the sign.
Okay.
The entire structure is 30 feet.
And is this just a business that has requested it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, and what business is it?
Jeeves Ads, and then represented by Lay Sign Company.
But it's an off-premise sign, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's going in behind
Thai Kitchen.
Thai Kitchen.
Yes.
Okay. How many digital signs in Pocatello do we have?
Oh, digital signs?
Or is this digital?
Digital billboards.
Well, billboards.
Yeah, we've got 3.
3 at present time.
4. 4, no, we have more than that, yeah. 4 or 5.
They keep growing.
They do. Like,
when was the first one put in?
The first one was put in 10 years ago on Quinn Road.
On Quinn Road.
Quinn at Hurley.
Go into the old neighborhood spot right there.
Yeah.
Right in front.
One down here by Maple and Yellowstone. One by Vickers.
There's one right across there. Any more questions?
Okay, so
Any-
motion.
No,
Any
that's all I
more
have.
questions?
I just,
Get this signed.
Until we know what.
so these are just going to be generic signs like you get on the internet when you pull up Ask Jeeves.
Yes, probably very similar to the advertisement that you see on other digital billboards, or even other billboards, to be honest. We do have a clause in our sign code that if it's obscene, we can have them take it down. But that's about it. We can't control content.
Okay, and this is in the packet, but also it's my understanding that ITD was in fact all right, okay with this based on their recommendations. Of
Yeah, that last line in the email says if it was taken down to about 100 nits at nighttime, then we'd be fine with it. Tom Kirkman said that he just spoke with Mike Neville, and Mike said if it's a static sign on that south-facing side, he is fine with it as well. So.
Oh, now I'm more confused because I thought on the north side was going to be static.
South-facing.
North side, south facing,
Yeah. Yeah. So you're traveling north on Jefferson, you would see it.
Well, yeah. So it's
south facing.
But the sign facing the hillside.
That's the one that's in question right now. Yeah.
What's
and that's
on it?
electronic.
Because it's facing south, but you'll see it if you're going north.
So,
I'm confused.
standing at the hill, I think I'm
If I
standing
lived up
on the
on-
hill, and I look over and I see that sign. Am I seeing a static sign? I'm talking, okay, here's one side, this is the other side. If I'm looking at this side, am I seeing static, or is it lit up?
Static.
My house is up here on the hill.
That will
If I'm on this side, driving down Pocatello Creek Road,
or up Jefferson,
If you're traveling west on Pocatello Creek Road, that will be electronic. If you're traveling north on Jefferson, that will be static. That's what was approved by the hearings.
North on Jefferson, you're going to be looking at
Yeah,
the static
yeah, they're like this. Yeah.
oh, it's
it's not this. Can we bring Tom Kirkman up?
He's got the diagram.
I have a little diagram if you want.
Well,
Well, we got, why don't, thank you.
Tom Kirkman, Street Superintendent, City of Pocatello. If you are going northbound, like Tendoy Junior High School, to that signal, it will be static on that side.
Okay.
On the other side, which faces the dwellings on the hill, that will be the digital side.
Okay, so now what does static mean?
It will be just a regular billboard with a picture.
It's not electronic.
And so some of the concerns that were had with the transportation end is if there's a moving sign behind the signal, it can distract the driver. However, if it's a static, just a regular picture, our traffic department is fine with it.
So help me understand this. This is the intersection, right?
Correct. This is Maverick.
This is where the lights are. This is static. This is digital. Okay.
Yeah, Tom, could you look at that? Norian, and you can step back there. But do you agree that that is the light direction that is impacting?
Correct. This is correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Okay, any other questions?
I would just make a statement. The reason I'm proposing that we deny this sign right now.
If I may, for the sake of clarity, what you're saying is grant the appeal.
Why we grant the appeal and that we do a moratorium. It's real obvious that there are lots of factors we have not considered adequately in our ordinance. I think that when somebody's up above somebody looking down on a sign that changes, it's changing their whole backyard or outlook. And there are things like how much light is intensified by the reflection and stuff like that. If there's snow on the ground, we know we've had a lot of experience with snow this year. So I think that makes a different dynamic. I think there are aesthetic things that we need to consider. I think there are nighttime skies that are more than 200 feet away that are affected. And that's why I'm saying we need to do a moratorium, look at this, get better information so that we are able to sort out and we can differentiate between what is an appropriate sign and what is an intrusive sign. And I don't think we're there right now with our ordinance because we wouldn't have so many people perceiving that it's such an intrusion if we were there. You guys are out of this.
If somebody has a question.
Well, I waited for 3 months.
But there's a process that you should have known about. It's published. So.
Mr. Brian, I was only for 3 minutes. I thought I had my time to.
But the agenda is published every time we have a meeting that outlines the public hearing process. So I'm sorry. I'd be glad to ask you a question, a very specific question, if you'd like to get up to the stand.
Appreciate that.
As long as it's not a really long answer.
No, absolutely.
Here's my very specific question.
I've been a speaker all my life, unfortunately. The answers are really long.
Here's my very specific question.
Go ahead, sir.
What did you want to say?
I love it. I assure my community people that this light will not bother them at night. We will dim it down. And it is not reflecting in any of the residences that was here from El Rancho or Holman or any other area. This light is hitting straight to the street and is not hitting their roads. And I assure you that the lights will not hit their residents and they will have a good night's sleep. And I will dim it down to 200 to 300 nits if need be. That's almost absolutely zero.
If we get complaints, which we have had on several of our digital signs.
Sure, sir.
Because of neighborhood intrusion, are you willing to shut the sign down at night if it's a huge issue? If the neighborhood brings it as a huge issue, are you willing to just not have it going and rotating?
Mr. Bray, if that is what the community would need from me, I am willing to shut the lights down at 11 o'clock if the decision is made today. I will swallow the loss of it and I will shut it down at 11 o'clock if the council members can make the decision today. That is with respect to the community members here, that they're here today. No other company has done that. Everybody over here has promised it. They have not dimmed it, but this is my assurance to you that I will shut it down at 11 o'clock.
Thank you.
This is working with the community. That's what I am.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjay.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions?
Mayor, for Sanjay? No, I have a question for any staff that may be in the building.
Okay, we've got a question for some staff.
My question is, and you can come up if you know that, is when did we address the ordinance of digital lights? We had to modify the ordinance to allow or to, plus or minus 3 years.
Terry?
I'm sorry that you're the one who keeps getting put on the spot with this.
We believe it was like the early 2000s when they started coming up. We don't know exact date, but it was within the last 20 years.
Well,
15 years even.
that sign on Quinn, that was about 2004. That one that was facing to the west that was digital, and then it was switched to a static or
Yes.
a non-digital sign.
Yes.
04, 05?
I believe so, yes. And I think it was about that same time that we developed our brightness standards.
Thank you. Because Mayor, this is my neighborhood. In fact, I just Googled it up, and I think I'm within 1,000 feet of that sign. But again, I have to go with what ITD said, what our hearing examiner said. I just we do these things to try to do all sorts of things: accommodate, stimulate, placate, and so we had another situation here just recently that because of the lack of understanding and information, I think we missed an opportunity to bring some revenue to the city and assist with some benefits, and with not getting that information out, I think we severely hamstrung ourselves for the future. But so that's all I have to say.
Mr. Mayor.
Council President Brown.
Thank you. You said that with council. Since I've been on the council, I have been a strong advocate for signs. And I agree with everything you've said, Mr. Orr, about the following all the rules. You followed all the rules. But have we done an adequate job as a council in trying to balance and not just this sign, but overall, trying to balance a commercial area with a residential area? If it was just a static sign, I don't know where I'd be right now, because I've been going and looking at other communities when I go through and seeing what their communities look like when it comes to signs, because this has been an ongoing issue forever. And instead of letting it go on forever, we really need to address it. And so I don't know if it was just a regular static sign where I'd be tonight, but where you have light that spills over the commercial area into residential, we need to, I think, adequately figure out what we want in this community. We have been letting things go because they fall within the rules, but I don't know if that was the right answer.
Well, then do we require that all other digital signs in the city be shut down or become static until we review this? I mean, I wasn't on the council when the sign went up on Yellowstone Avenue across from Chili's, which faces into a
intersection.
Well, it's not the intersection. It's facing into a trailer park. It faces into the lower part of Spalding, which is the other side of El Rancho, or the subdivision there. My concern is always that are we potentially creating another type of discrimination? Do we discriminate based on income, prestige, donations to the city, whatever it might be, and then...
I don't think that's even close to what we're talking about. I just want to make sure that you understand that I am absolutely opposed to what you just said.
Well, you can be opposed, but again...
I'm not making decisions based on donations, sir.
I didn't say that. I'm just asking, are we?
No, but you're implying that we would even consider that. I'm just...
Well, I wasn't on the council when that sign went up there.
And nobody up here got a donation to put that sign there.
That was not the type of donation I was talking about.
Oh, well, that's what it sounded like. I apologize. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that I just wanted to be crystal clear on that. I'm not an advocate for accepting donations to make a decision or
I understand that. I'm talking about...
Sorry, I shouldn't have been so bad.
Is a trailer park on Yellowstone any less important than another neighborhood?
That's a good point.
Okay, and so what I'm asking is that if we're going to go forward with this, do we retroactive ask? I mean, Mr. Sanjay has offered to shut the sign down after 11, I think, or whatever. I don't know. I've sat on the HPC committee, and then I've struggled with sign makers coming in and they meet all the zoning ordinances for signs for different parts of town, and a committee takes it upon themselves to redesign it for them. I mean, I guess what my concern is if we're going to continue to do this, like with what Mr. Bray said, is do we put a moratorium and we just start telling people who want a sign, don't waste the time of putting the work and effort in with the sign graphics people, just come to us and before you do all that work, and we'll tell you where we want the sign, what you can put on it. I mean, that's the dilemma I have.
I did not say what we could put on it. What I'm saying is that we have not studied this sufficiently to know the way light travels, to understand the neighborhoods and slope and all those type of issues. We have not anticipated that. We have not anticipated that a sign down below might come in under all the foliage of a canopy that's developed, or at the trailer court there could be a canopy, trees and stuff like that block the intrusion of signs. I don't think we've done that type of a study and understanding of how we should monitor this so that we have a good balance. I'm talking balance between commercial and the private residences. And I would say that private residences, if we degrade the quality of our residential neighborhoods, we're degrading our community just as surely as we do when we're not promoting business.
Okay, and my point was, are we going to go back to all these 4 or 5 or whatever digital
That's
signs?
not in my motion.
Okay, so they get to continue doing it while we...
The cow's out of the barn on those as far as I'm concerned, but we can learn from them. And, and that's my point, is this sign, we've heard from other neighborhoods, we've not responded. We're hearing from a neighborhood tonight that has a lot of concern. We need to be on top so we know the balance that we can create. That's all I'm saying. And we need to be able to look at refraction and how that goes into this, the reflection. There are so many issues of difference in slope and stuff like that. I know that there are people who are saying they can see signs from miles away because of the different nature of the lights used in the signs than they used to be. So all of that needs to be a part of a discussion, and I don't think we're adequately in a position tonight to say that we should go forward with this because we know there's not going to be any compromise of the neighborhood in that area. I just don't think we're at that point.
And my comments are just saying we need to do a better job.
Well,
that's why I seconded it.
I agree. But we rely on staff and those who are considered experts to give us their opinion, and that's our ITD people and our hearing examiner.
Right, and they follow the rules that we put in place, and I'm saying that we need to look at those and make sure that we've got the right ones there.
Mr. Mayor, I am very appreciative of the great input that's been presented tonight. I think that the presentation that says a sign's going to go in has to be supported, because we have the rules, we've passed them, it's within what we've agreed to in the past, and I think we should deny the appeal. I therefore would be voting against the motion that's been presented.
So let's vote.
No, yeah, if we're done, then I guess we can call the roll.
Any other comments? If none, Connie, will you please call the roll?
Bray?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Adamson?
Yes.
Johnston?
No.
Moore?
Yes.
Ford?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. The appeal will pass with a 4-2 vote. Thank you very much. We will move on to agenda item number 14, public hearing, annexation of land east of Running Iron Lane. This time has been set aside for the council to hear comments from the public concerning a request by Jake and Amber Richards to annex a zone approximately 7.09 acres of land, extending the city limits east of Running Iron Lane. At their meeting on April 12, 2017, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the request.
One thing that I see in town.
I declare the public hearing open.
That's all you can see. You can look over here, but it draws you to it. It's amazing.
Look for Jake, and why don't we wait a minute? It'll quiet down in a second.
This is a public use, so you need to ask about ex parte.
Before you get going, Jake, I have to ask about ex parte communication from anybody on the council, because it's a land use issue. Has anybody had ex parte communication?
No.
Okay, Jake.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Jake Richards, 5206 Daisy Lane, Pocatello. Real quick, I just want to make a clarification from the minutes from the previous meeting. There was just a detail in there that I would like to clarify in my rebuttal. It says in the minutes that it said that I set up decoys on this property, talking about how I set up decoys and was told that I had shot geese on this property. That isn't true. That was clarified in that meeting, and that's what I was clarifying, is that didn't happen. So from the minutes before, I have not shot geese on the property. Okay, or set up decoys. A couple things real quick. I hope that all of you got a chance to read the letter that I presented. If you have, that's great. I will try to be very quick because you've had a chance to look at it, and there's no sense in going over it again. Everybody's been here long enough, so I'll try to be as quick as I can. The two major issues recommended by the staff initially were the location of the property in reference to properties beyond that and how it may be in line with annexation of other properties. The rebuttal to that was simply that every other piece of property that touches mine also touches the city. Thus, one of the notes that were made to me didn't make sense, because I was not blocking anyone from annexation, because every piece of property that touches mine touched the city. So every piece could be annexed at any point in time, according to your guys' guidelines. The other one was the unknown development of the church property, which I don't know anything about. I don't know when that is. It's all speculation and all hearsay, and I understand it, but I still don't understand for myself why I am in the way with a simple piece of property that me and my family have purchased for that. The staff initially, when I spoke to them prior to the application, had said to me that they were going to recommend that it not be annexed. They said that to me very directly. Then after the application and the fees paid, they then changed their recommendation and then recommended that it be annexed. I found out when I got my notice, like papers, like the day before of the hearing. So I do feel that I was kind of blindsided in that I didn't know that that was the case until I was here. I have spoken with the staff since our last meeting, where they gave recommendation to the zoning, the zoning and planning, and they have said to me now that they have changed their recommendation to neutral and given reasons for both sides. To me, that's a point of direction for me, because it says that they understand a little bit more, and they are now saying, well, I guess we could go either way. I know that the zoning planning made their recommendation to the council very heavily based off the recommendation of the staff, and rightfully so. But again, the staff has changed their recommendation to neutral, according to Mr. Lewis. I think that it's also very important that we look at that recommendation from the zoning and planning and say, how was it influenced? And it was influenced mainly by the staff. And if they would have influenced in a neutral way, would that have changed things? It's possible. It could have. I can't go backwards. I tried to find out if I could, again, to see if some of the stuff was done. I also feel that the zoning planning's recommendation could have very easily been swayed by persuasions and accusations and implications and information provided by those that are for the annexation. And many of those were not true. And I clarified those. So I do feel that that was part of the problem. Also, I think that it's important that we understand and look at the fire department's recommendation. They sent out a memorandum, which I believe you guys would have, saying that Captain Glenn Powell has said that they do not recommend annexation. I think that we should listen to them as well. They're the ones that would be called in to help if necessary, and they are saying they do not want annexation. I know that the homeowners have concerns, and they've made their concerns known prior, and they will tonight, I'm sure, as well. Some of the accusations and stuff that were made before, I hope were clarified. I hope that those things have been clarified to the point that we need it. And I hope that those concerns and those questions that are brought up are based on factual information, not hearsay, slander, or any kind of accusation that's not true. I also referred to Idaho State Code. It's the one that was presented to us, Chapter 2 of Section 5022223AI. It says that all landowners, have to give their consent to be annexed. And yes, I filed an application because I was required to, but just because you file an application does not mean you give consent when you specifically say in the application you don't want to be annexed. I do deal with consent every day in my business, and I know that you can write one thing and you can take away your consent right after. I'm just saying it's in state code, it's in the code you guys presented to me. I don't give my consent to be annexed, and I ask that you consider that as well. More than anything, I just ask that you guys base your decisions on truth, fact, and what really is best. Not on opinions that may be factual or not. Not on slander or defamatory comments that could lead me and my family into a negative light, as I feel they did at the zoning and planning meeting. And just by what's in front of you, and not speculation and what may or may not happen, but what's in front of you. That's all that I ask, is that you do it the right way and consider it that way, and I can live with the results. That's just what it is. Me and my family just bought a piece of property in the county to build a home for ourselves and want to live there. We want to live in that community. We want to be in that area. We're just asking that you let us do it. That's all. I'm not asking for a big development. I'm not looking to make money off of this property. I'm not looking to do any of that stuff. I want to live there. That's what me and my family want. And I'm open for your questions. I hope that was less than 10 minutes.
You didn't even get the 3-minute warning. You didn't even get the 3-minute warnings right.
Yeah, you had about 3.5 minutes left.
Okay.
3 minutes now.
Okay. You got anything else to say? Not yet?
I think I've said it all. And the letter, I think, said a lot of it as well.
Sure. Okay. I'm not seeing any questions right now, so you may have an opportunity at the end to be asked a number of questions as you watch the last...
And I'll be able to rebut.
That's right, and you'll always be able to rebut anything that's said here as well.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Yep. So then I would ask for staff to...
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Matthew Lewis, Planning Manager for the city. The subject 7.09 acre parcel is located in Bannock County and abuts the incorporated city limits along its westerly property line. Jake and Amber Richards submitted a building permit application to Bannock County for a single-family dwelling to be served by an on-site septic system and well for domestic water supply. According to Devin Hellam, Bannock County Planning Director, the lot was subdivided illegally without undergoing any sort of official process in 2016. Prior to the subdivision, the land was described as an approximately 11.5 acre parcel on instrument number 20325524 and was owned by Juniper Hills Country Club. The annexation request was submitted in order to fulfill a condition placed on the building permit application by the county due to the fact that the subject property abuts the city boundary. Specifically, Bannock County Ordinance 326D states, and I quote, "All subdivisions on a city boundary must apply to be annexed into the city which has designated the land to be within its area of city impact," end quote. D1 of that same section reads, quote, "In the event the city declines in writing the annexation, the annex development, the county shall hear the application in accordance with its area city impact agreement with the city, or Idaho code shall apply if none exists," end quote. The City Council is the only body having the authority to approve or deny annexation. Jake and Amber Williams have stated that they do not wish to have the property annexed into the city and do not wish to have any city services, water or sewer, extended to the property. The home is proposed to be constructed at least 400 feet from available water, or from available sewer. It should be noted that according to Code Section 1316.085, connection to proximate sewer required, that reasonable distance for extension of sewer is 300 feet measured from the property line. Where the connection is not possible, a septic system may be permitted provided that 1 acre parcel size exists and the parcel is or can be served by a municipal water supply. If the parcel is served by a private water supply and septic, then the minimum lot size of 2.5 acres must be maintained. In the event the parcel remains in the county jurisdiction, then the minimum 5 acre rule applies. The property is within the city and county adopted area city impact. It lies contiguous to existing city limits. It is within the city's urban service boundary with the designation of residential on the city's comprehensive plan map. As clarification, please note that the city corporate boundary follows the Portneuf River, abutting the subject 7.0 acre parcel, as well as the adjacent LDS Church Farm property, and this is depicted in Exhibit 4 found in your packets. Thus, if and when the church property is developed in the future, annexation would be possible without annexing the subject property at this time. If the subject property is not annexed, then it is possible that the 7.0 acre parcel may in the future become enclaved. State Title 52223A II reads, "Any residential enclave lands less than 100 privately owned parcels, irrespectively of surface area, which are surrounded on all sides by land within the city, or which are bounded on all sides within the city and by a boundary of the city's area of city impact, may be annexed as a Category A." The Pocatello Fire Department is not in favor of annexation based on the need for secondary access and limited access to existing hydrant and reasonable extension of water. Captain Powell's memo is located in your packets. Scott Patton, representing Williams Pipeline, submitted correspondence noting that there are 2 high-pressure interstate natural gas transmission lines in the immediate area. They are not in opposition to the annexation. The applicant, Jake Richards, submitted correspondence dated April 28, 2017. This was forwarded to the mayor and council on May 1st. Correspondence was received via email from Denise Bowen on May 3rd, 2017. Said correspondence was presented to the council at the pre-agenda meeting. No other correspondence has been received as of the beginning of the council meeting. All property owners within a 300-foot radius of the land proposed to be annexed and zoned have been notified of the public hearing in order that they may provide comment on the proposed annexation and zoning designation. Notice was also published in the Idaho State Journal and a sign posted on the subject property. Based on the information provided, the council may wish to adopt the Planning and Zoning Commission's findings of fact and approve annexing the approximate 7.09 acre parcel into the corporate boundary of the city. If the council decides not to annex at this time, they may find such based on the following. One, that the location of the residence is not within reasonable distance of the sewer based on Code Section 1316.085, connection to approximate sewer required. And then secondly, if the subject property is not annexed, then it is possible that the 7.09 acre parcel may in the future become enclaved. State Title 52222-3A-II reads, and I already read that, so I won't read it again. It would be a Category A. This concludes my presentation. Should the council have questions regarding water and sewer location and extension thereto, Mayor Quayle is prepared to answer any of those questions that you may have. If you have any questions to me, I'll be happy to answer those.
Any questions? Nope. Thank you.
Well, no, I got one.
Oh, we got
real
one.
Quick. Is there anything, any place in this packet that gives us dimensions of that property?
It would be in the legal. It'd be along legal. And
I don't think
probably not in there.
So there's a legal description of this.
It's just generic with the 7.09 acres.
Yeah, none of the maps are legend with distances.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Hey, Matt, before you leave, have you had any other correspondence than what we've received?
I have not, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. Then we would look at anyone supporting the application. Anyone uncommitted to the application? Anyone opposed to the application?
So you get to rebut then. Keep notes.
Mayor, could you clarify that?
Sure, I can clarify. What do you need clarified?
Well, I'm wondering, so if we're testifying as opposed, I want to make sure we're following
If you're opposed to the annexation,
you're for it.
Because the motion is to annex.
The motion is to annex. So if you are in support of annexation,
We're in support of it.
you're in support of it. So that time,
well, see, that's the...
Okay, that time came and went, but none the better. So apparently it was confusing. So if you are in...
You want to annex?
If you're in favor of annexation...
Speak to it.
Speak to it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Come on.
My name is Jack Robinson, 203 South Garfield, and I'm here on behalf of property owners who are in favor of annexation. I'm addressing some specific points. The property owners will address some specific concerns they have, and we intend to present facts. In the first instances, I know that you've received, and we weren't able to get all of the full packet, but we did get the minutes from the planning and zoning. And I do want to correct one misconception, is that there was, in fact, there is a deed outstanding we presented. It should be in the record in the last presentation that did show for...
Jack, I might want to just let you know, you got 3 minutes.
I've been watching the clock.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
That is there, and the deed, there is indeed a deed restriction that this can only be divided into 2 parcels, which the property owner is aware of. And the reason I somewhat mention that is that the zoning is medium density, but this property is not suitable for medium density because its actually use would be less. We are supportive of the staff recommendations, and I wasn't exactly sure where staff went in their last presentation, but with regard to, as far as annexation is concerned, they're saying you can wait. I think they give you the option of doing it now or waiting until it becomes enclaved, but we think there's good reasons, and they stated those reasons. And before that was the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning, we're in support of that. One of the things that was mentioned was Exhibit 4, and I've noticed that people have been holding up a larger size of that Exhibit 4. I don't know if you ever received a copy of the subdivision plat where the access road goes through. If I may, I can appropriate some extra copies of that.
We can do that. Thank you. The issue is that this road, the access road to this property, starts at Bannock Highway, which is on the left corner in the bottom, runs a couple thousand feet to a cul-de-sac, and then it joins the property. At that point, it cuts through the cul-de-sac, and so now the cul-de-sac, which used to be an end street, is now going to be a through street for their driveway. Now, that road was, this was done in 1978. The road is only 40 feet wide, so it was not up to current standards. It was dedicated as public. On the last page of that exhibit is the public dedication of the road. And so the issue is that this is in a developed area, in a fully developed, nicely developed subdivision. This road is the only access to this property, so that the property owner who's in support of this is benefiting substantially from the city's street that they maintain and they have to control. And there's concerns to the neighbors about how that street's going to be and how this is going to affect that, and the things that need to be done to accommodate this new development. So we think that this is the opportunity that gives the city to enable it to participate in this project, to make sure it's done correctly, that the concerns of the property owners are addressed. And if you do not do annexation, you're essentially say it's free. And I did not know before that this was an illegal subdivision under the county rules. That was the first time I've heard that tonight. Thank you. Any others in support? We're back to supporting, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay. We're still there.
We're still there.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to hurry and sign. So, start the clock. I have a long address. Can I approach with my pictures and newspaper article? Can I start and we pass it that way?
Yeah, we can start over there.
I'll talk while you guys look.
And then if you'll state your name for us, that would be great.
My name is Tammy Paris. I live within the 300 feet of this property. I live at 7052 Running Iron Lane. The pictures will show you where we live. The first picture is looking from the 13th hole at the country club. And when Mr. and Mrs. Richardson's bought the property, they bought it from Juniper Hills Country Club. It's not country living. It's the Juniper Hills Country Club. Picture number 2 will show you the view from his property line, looking right onto the country club. And picture number 3 is showing where he will access his road to go to his property on our gate. And then that, of course, is the newspaper article that we just read last week about the temple that may go out on the church farm. We don't know where that temple's going. I think right now you guys have an opportunity to do the right thing, for us homeowners, the area we live in. This needs to be annexed into the city. If you guys can come to some help for him to put in water and sewer to get the amenities out further, that's great. This town has to develop. We all understand that. This is not country living. This is in the city. And I brought up the gun issue, and I wasn't slandering him. I know that somebody has set up goose decoys right there, right by the golf course, and they shoot all the time. They wake all of us up, 6 in the morning. But Mr. Richardson, that night of that hearing, did admit that he does set up his rifle, his target, and shoots his rifle. To me, I find that ludicrous. I'm an adult, I'm a parent, I have kids. There's several little kids in our neighborhood. we're shooting a rifle right next to our house. If a bullet's ricochet, I'm the guy that brought up the rifle, just so everybody knows that. And I didn't mean slander, but it's important that he admitted that he shoots his rifle in that property. The other thing is, Mr. Bray brought a good point. We do not want to degrade our street. This is a nice street. He's going to use our city street to access his property and have a driveway. If he wants to be in the country, then he needs to access it from a country road. Find a country road, because we're not a country road, we're the city road. And the other thing is, I'm not in favor of a septic system that close to the Portneuf and also at the aquifer. And we have to think about that for the future. And that's all I have to say. And thank you. I have 23 seconds to thank you guys for your service and your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others in support?
There's Actor.
I'd have to sign in here before I start, Mayor.
That's okay with me.
I think that should count off your time, Mayor.
Well, for him, it should. We should have given his wife more, but okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for your service. I know it's a late time. You're here late. I can see some faces kind of drooping a little bit, maybe. Want to go home.
He looked like that
I've been through these myself.
That's right.
But anyway, I want to thank you for your service as elected officials. I know that I worked for elected officials for a number of years, and I know what you all go through to some degree. I've watched it, and I just appreciate your service, because it is. I wouldn't do it, but I'm proud of you all. You are doing it. What I'd like to say is we welcome Mr. Richards to our neighborhood. We don't have a problem with him coming in. In fact, that property's beautiful. If he wants to develop it, we're all for that. We just want it to be done right. I mean, the fact of the matter is, for him to get to his property, he drives through the city, down a city street. That's the only way he can get to that property. And that's why we're arguing for annexation. It's logical. It makes sense. We're not trying to punish him because he bought some county property that, by the way, was illegally split. That's a little bit of a problem. I don't know that you can make an application on property that's been illegally split. So I want to make a record of that as well. But if you're gonna, if we're gonna let him do it, let's do it right. We have, you guys know that. I know a lot of you have been out by the golf course. A lot of you live out there. A lot of you recreate out there. If you go up on the hill and you look at where his property is and you look where the highway pond is, it ain't very far. It's a few hundred yards, maybe 300 or 400 yards. And you know where that water comes from? From the ground up, from the aquifer. You're all aware of the Wellhand study, right? You guys know about that. You know how close the aquifer is to this property? And that's why I think it's important that we don't create another Meat Creek, not Meat Creek, but Johnny Creek. Just the other day on the news, I noticed that there's human waste in our water coming down from these septic systems. Let's not do that again. Let's not perpetuate that problem. So I think it's only logical that the property is annexed. It abuts the city. But for the little piece that they illegally split to the north of that property, it would be abutting city property to the north as well. The country club illegally split that property. And so I think that's a bit of a problem. But again, if the city is going to consider this application, and by the way, I think if he applies, he's subject to the city's jurisdiction. So I think the argument that, well, I'm not agreeing to this, it doesn't fly. The county sent him here for a good reason. So I would hope you'd consider that as well. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any others in support?
My name is Jason Cottle. I live at 7070 Running Iron Lane. I speak in favor of annexation. I purchased my property approximately a year ago out there. I purchased it with the intent of living on the golf course, being in the city, paying city taxes. I want to protect our property, my fellow homeowners. I've talked to Mr. Richards. He's a nice man. I welcome their family out there. he said what he wants to do out there, and I don't necessarily disbelieve him. But what if Mr. Richards decides to sell this property 2 years down the road and someone decides to raise pigs there? Do we want to have people coming to our city golfing on Juniper Hills Golf Course with animals and livestock adjacent to our prized golf course out there? I don't agree with the shooting the gun out there. I have small children. That worries me. It worries me that the septic system next to the aquifer. I would love to see the Portneuf Greenway eventually get down to this area, and how are we going to have an access to that if it's private, if it's county property and the city can't get through there if there's not an easement there. I would just like to see it annexed because I'd like to see the drainage on that street. I tend to plow my neighbors' driveways in the winter, and the water runs down the street. So all the drainage from that street runs right into this property, and there's no drainage. There's no septic or any kind of a drain to take care of this water. So if he builds a home out there and a road, where's all this water going to go? I have to push the snow to the end of the street, especially this year, and so there's no room for this to push snow. That being said, that's pretty much all I have, other than I kind of heard a rumor he was going to put an electric billboard up there. But,
it's terrible. Bad taste. That is in bad taste.
It's too soon.
Any others in support of the application? Okay, now I'm moving to uncommitted to the application. We're not going back to support again, maybe. Uncommitted, any opposed to the application?
My name's Amber Richards, and I live at 5206 Daisy Lane. And I just want to stand up here and tell you that my family bought a piece of property in the county, 7 acres. It was like a dream to us. Kind of in the country, close to the city, things that we love. We have 4 little kids. We don't want to do anything bad there. I feel like I can respect the concerns of the people that live there, but I feel like they have made a decision that we are going to degrade this property and make it look horrible. And I just have to say that we have actually improved this property a lot. When we bought it, there were 2 feet high dry weeds all over. My husband has a tractor and he tills the ground and he works it in, so it's not as much of a potential fire hazard. We love the land. We think it's beautiful, and we love Pocatello, and we're just grateful to be here. And I just hope that you'll take this into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others opposed? That's what I'm talking about. You got to move a little bit quicker than everybody else. That's good.
Rod Albertson, 657 West, 45 South, Blackfoot, Idaho. I'm going to be building the Richards home. A couple things. If your fire department does not want to annex it, that doesn't make any sense to me to have you annex it into your city when your fire department does not want to go out there and take care of their house if for some reason, some awful reason, that it could catch on fire. The other thing with the aquifer, with the septic system, you have to believe in the health department and understand that they're going to have you put in a septic system that's not going to get to your aquifer and cause problems. I mean, that's why we have a health department. Other than that, we're going to build a beautiful home out there. It's going to up the value of your homes as we build the home. So I am, that's what I would like to say.
Thank you. Any others opposed to the application? Okay, then we will move on to a rebuttal. You have an opportunity for a rebuttal.
Can't rebut his wife.
Which is weird because you have to rebut your wife and your builder, it looks like. So.
Just a couple quick things there. One mention was made that this addition would create a through street that wasn't supposed to be there. A driveway is not a street. Okay? We're not doing a development, we're building a house. I agree that we were told that this division was done illegally, and that's the whole reason we actually ended up where we were. It actually should have been taken care of by the country club prior to sale, not by us. So we got thrown in the middle of it by default. Yes, I have shot a gun one day, one time. Sorry, I shot it a couple times that one day. Excuse me, one day. And I understand their concerns with that. I also take, not offense, I'm not trying to say that, but I also want them to understand, I want you guys to understand, I have 4 small daughters, okay? I have been around guns and bows and stuff my entire life. I do understand what they can do. I do know that they're dangerous. I would also tell you that each one of us is more dangerous behind a car, the wheel of a car, when we're driving around town on a daily basis than someone who very cautiously takes care of their guns. I'm not saying accidents can't happen. I'm just saying you're more in danger behind your car than you are with someone that understands how to use weaponry. So and honestly, if that's the simple part of it, if they said if you promise not to shoot a gun, we're okay, I'm okay with that. I don't need to shoot guns there. That's not the purpose of it. They already hit on septic. Everyone that works in the city, buys in the city, lives in the city, all the people that come into the city to work and do everything else, many of them live outside of the city. So all of them use city roads. So the question or concern was, I'll be using a city road. Everyone does. That comes into the city, they use them all the time. I have a business, I have a home in the city, I pay the taxes for those things all the time on time. So I do understand that concern as well. But I don't see how it's different than all the other roads which many people use come in the city during the same time. As for the Greenway, I mean, there's not an easement through there at this time, annexation or not, that's not a part of it. That should, in my opinion, should not have a factor in the decision. The drain water that was talked about going across the property, I do know right where it comes through. They've actually, some homeowners in the area have put a pipe that runs out the end of the property into my property. I know that pipe is not to code. I know that it's not a drain field that's properly there. They're just trying to keep their property from washing away, which I actually don't have a problem with. But it only cuts a small corner of my property, ends up in the Portneuf River long before my home. Let's see. You know what, really the only thing is I know them talking about the consent, and again, going back and how that's not true. Again, in my field of work, someone can write down that they give consent for me to do something, and they've written it down and they give me consent, but at any point in time, they can take that consent away without written documentation. They can verbally tell me, I do not give you consent to continue with what you're doing, and I have to legally stop. Okay, so to me, that is actually an issue, the consent, which we, once again, do not give. We've been here plenty long enough. I just ask that, again, that you please base your decision off of truth, off of fact, what's truly best, and understand that we just want to build a home. I really do want to live there. And I hope when it's all said and done that the neighbors are not happy about us being there. The ones that are not happy about us being there, that they'll get over it and that we can still be a simple, quiet community without conflict and without problem. And again, I thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it very much. Appreciate you hearing it. And just please ask that you make the consideration with truth and fairness. Thank you.
Question?
Sir.
Appreciate your interest in Pocatello. Why would you not want to be a part of the city?
Why would I not want to be? Some of it is restriction, right? I think anybody would lie if they didn't say that there are some cost reductions. I'm not going to try to hide that. I think everybody understands that.
We need your taxes.
Again, you get a lot of my taxes. I do have a business in town. I currently own a home in town. You get those taxes, for sure. We buy in town. We're still a part of this city, and I plan to be here my entire life. So yeah, we probably will be annexed at some point down the road. Why is it necessary to do it now?
We just spent $23 million to take care of nitrates in the water. And I know the health department is very good, But I just can't see us contributing even the slightest possibility of additional nitrates into the aquifer or into the Portneuf River for us to have to pay more money for. And I don't even really know what the question would be, but what kind of assurance do we have that we're not going to have a problem with that septic tank where it's got to be fairly close to the aquifer of the river?
The distance that most likely is going to be is 300 feet minimum, which is required by the sanitary department. They're the ones that are in charge of it. They're the ones that take care of it. They've already dictated, whether it's annexed or not, that that's what's going to happen, is that it's going to be a septic system. That's not my decision.
If we were to reroute the sewer line and put it within 300 feet of your home, would you be willing to connect to it? At city expense?
You also, at city expense?
Not
Yes.
to bring it
Sorry.
within 300 feet.
No, you're okay. I got you. I understand what you're saying.
Well, live, he was jumping all over that.
Would anybody? I mean,
absolutely.
I understand what you're saying. Would I be willing to? Are you asking me to commit right now? Because I don't know. Because I'm not going to commit to something that I don't know all the details of and what you're looping me into. I want details of it before I could do that. So I appreciate the question, but I can't honestly answer. I'm sorry.
You were probably a debater in high school.
No, sir.
Okay. That's it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bring on staff up. We've been here for long.
Okay, I declare the public hearing closed. Council, this item is before you. How do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the annexation.
Second.
We have a motion by Moore and a second by Johnston.
Quick comment.
Please.
My motion has nothing to do with anything personal. I never really heard any of the personal stuff, so that's not involved in any of it. So it has to do with the proximity to the city and what makes sense.
Could we have staff up, Merrill?
Do you have a question for him? We sure
Well,
can.
I mean, who, I guess, Matt, you want to come up first? You guys better be ready because we had some questions come up on this. If this property's annexed in the city, because of the size of the property, is the owner required to hook up to city water?
No.
If we annex this property into the city, is the homeowner, because of the size of the property, required to hook up to our sewer?
It has nothing to do with the size of the property, it's the proximity of the sewer. So if you're within 300 feet from the property line to the home, then under code you have to extend the sewer and hook into the sewer. Merrill can give a little bit of detail in terms of where the distance is currently, but that's what the code is.
Okay. 300, what was the proximity?
300 feet.
To the property line or to the structure?
From property line.
Okay. So, Merrill, I guess you... I'll ask you the question.
Yes.
If we annex this piece of property, is at present time, is the property line within 300 feet of the property line?
The property line is further than 300 feet from the accessible sewer that he can hook into through the public right-of-way.
Okay.
There is a sewer that is closer, however, it would require a private easement and working with the property owners there, and the city typically does not require that because now we're putting the property owners in a situation that the city doesn't want them in.
Is the property owner that owns that property that with the easement would have to be negotiated with here?
Yes, it's the country club that would be doing it, and the sewer that they'd be hooking into, that manhole is shallow and would require a pump no matter what would happen if that was granted.
So it's not a homeowner,
It's the
country club. And is the country clubs here?
No.
Well,
Okay.
it's my mistake.
Okay, that's fine.
The people that are here, part of it, I guess.
So my question, Merrill,
We're not the country club.
Okay.
so Merrill, my question is if the city puts the sewer, runs the sewer in the right-of-way where, I mean, we've been doing this all over town. So this isn't a new idea or any of that stuff. If that sewer is extended in the right-of-way to the cul-de-sac to accommodate the houses that are hooked up to it now, so when we have a problem, we're not digging somebody's backyard up. If that happens, say it happens this summer, would he be required to hook into that sewer line?
If he's annexed in and he is before the building permit issues and the sewer is there, then yes, he would be required to hook in.
So if the line gets moved, he gets a permit tomorrow, he's annexed, gets a permit tomorrow, he does not have to hook in.
He's outside that 300 feet.
It doesn't matter when the 300 feet gets close enough to the property line?
No, that's why we didn't shut down the signs that are already there.
We haven't, we have never required somebody when the sewer's been brought in front of their house to hook in unless their septic tank at that time has failed, and then they're required to hook in.
Okay.
Back on point.
Well, I don't know see, that's the problem. I don't know what we're accomplishing here, okay? Because if we do this and within the next 30 days he pulls a building permit, most all the discussion we've had here tonight is a moot point. I'm not saying this shouldn't be annexed.
I don't think so. I don't think so. The reason I don't think so.
Sewer, maybe.
Yeah, with regards to the sewer, but what I'm looking at, and I can respect your idea of not annexing, but what I'm looking at is when you have pieces and parts around a city that are, some are annexed, some are not, it really makes it confusing. And quite frankly, I've got a fire chief that says, hey, we don't want it annexed because we might have to put a fire out. I can assure you 100%, his house goes on fire, we are not driving to the end of that and stopping and going, dang it, it was just annexed. We could go across that line. We're going to go in there, we're going to fight that fire regardless if he's in the county or not. We're using, I mean, I heard the homeowners say he's using city streets. So that means when we plow that street, we're plowing that street for him too, but he's not paying for that part of it. I understand he's got businesses in town and we appreciate that. Don't misunderstand that. But he's using city services, but he's not, but he doesn't want to pay for those. And so I mean, it's a tough decision, but I know very well if his house was on fire or somebody broke into his house and they called 911 and the police responded, and Pocatello police were the first ones there, they're not going to stop at the line and say, darn it, it's the county, we better wait for the sheriff. They're going to go in there and get the guy.
Well, I'm not talking about that. What I ask is if we annex him, okay, does he have to hook up to city water? The answer was no.
No, the answer was no on that. No, I agree with that.
If we annex him, if he pulls a permit before the sewer is moved, does he have to hook up to the city sewer? The answer is no. Okay? That was the two major concerns that I guess the health department had. The people had. I mean, again, I'm not saying we can annex him. The only thing that, as I see it, and he was quite open about it, is he's trying to avoid paying the additional taxes you have to pay by being a member of the city.
Oh, I understand that.
So.
So we've got a motion. Is there any other comment? We have a motion by Moore and a second by Johnston. Connie, would you please call the roll?
Moore.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Adamson.
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
4,
Did you hear what we said there? I'm going to vote yes. Mute point.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Then we will move to agenda item 15 is the discussion items. This time has been set aside to hear the discussion items not listed on the agenda. Items which appear somewhere else on the agenda will not be discussed at this time. The council is not allowed to take any official action at this meeting on matters brought forward under this agenda item. Items will either be referred to the appropriate staff or scheduled on a subsequent agenda. You must sign in at the start of the meeting in order to be recognized. You have 3 minutes, and we will go ahead and get started. Idaho Lorax.
That's just for the public hearings. Okay, Idaho Lorax, Pocatello, Idaho. So hope we can start again with no interruptions.
What was that? What did you say? No, I want to know what
That's
you
10
said.
seconds so far. Stop the clock here, Rude.
You're talking 12
This is
hours.
rude anytime. It's
And if I want to
rude.
visit
It's
with
shorten
him,
what I have to say, and we're in an argument about it. Ruth, please reset the clock.
You've got 3 minutes.
These are my bosses.
You've got 3 minutes.
You mean you don't know how to reset the clock, is that what we're saying?
Well, we know how. You got 3 minutes, and you got 2 minutes
The last
and 28
person you
seconds.
should disrespect is Ruth.
Again, people's right to share information, educate people. I'm running for school board, and you know
Don't
that.
electioneer during this time.
Hey, you're interrupting again.
No,
Okay?
I'm clarifying.
I have a right to
I'm
share.
I'm
Here we go.
clarifying
Why? Because
communication.
what? You don't want me to share issues.
Idaho, it's been very clear we're not electioneering and things like that. You're down to 2 minutes
I'm
now.
sharing issues. Now, can I speak to them, or am I, you try to stop me from getting them public?
If they're city related.
Of course it is. Because the issue, Mr. Brown, which you are not favorable for, and some of you, is the nuclear
hold on.
school zone
Stop right there.
initiative.
We're not
Am I
going to
being
do...
stopped again, Brian?
Well, you're going to be stopped permanently. We're not going to do this tonight. You've been asked a number of times not to do what you're doing. You're
What am I
not
doing?
supposed to call people out by
then,
name and
can
stuff
I
like that.
speak?
So
You're
thank you
not
very
allowing
much
me to speak about the
for
nuclear
being
free
with us
school
tonight.
zones here.
We appreciate you being
Saving
with
our
us.
children.
With that, we are adjourned. Thank you.